I am pleased that so many of you have come to share the fine work with your peers and learn more about the education field. It's an opportunity for you all to be inspired, maybe even a little intimidated by just what others have done.
So the quilt idea is really good with stories, not only just one particular story, but you can incorporate a lot of things with it.
Okay, the project was a cooperative biography for a social studies class that we took. And the idea was to take a book we read, a novel, and to create a children's book that could be used in a future classroom. Opposed to creating a traditional book with binding and pages, we took it another step and we made a quilt and made the squares of the quilt the pages of our book, detailing the life of Rosa Parks.
But the main challenges taking on something this big was just the quilt aspect, I think, of it, because none of us knew how to sew. So when we first came up with the idea, we were kind of going back and forth on whether or not we thought we could handle it. But Katie's grandma is an experienced quilter, so she helped us with the sewing portion of it.
It's, of course, it can be very difficult having five group members all working on one thing. People are concerned about time. They have different things going on in their lives.
We're all looking in the field of special education, and it's important to explore other alternatives, because when you give a child a book, a lot of children are going to shut down. You show a child a quilt with a story, they get intrigued, they want to see it, they want to touch it, they want to pull out the pieces and see what it's about, and then it might actually lead them to wanting to actually read the book or maybe take it to the next step.
First assessment was breaking down words into their phoneme. So for two, it would be t-oo. And he decided he wanted to write them with the dash and how it sounded, so I let him do that.
Well, I was presenting the literacy assessment portfolio, and within that we had a semester's worth of work with one student, and we just discovered where they were with their literacy abilities, how they could read, how they could write, and went from there. I sit down now with a kid and I'll read, and it's like, oh, I'm doing a little running record man is in my head, and I can see, oh, okay, well that's, an omit, or that's this error, and it's just really sitting down and just trying to figure out where the kid is and how you can help them progress.
Okay, so this is my social studies mini unit. As you can see, it took pretty much all semester to come up with this. And the first thing I had to do was come up with an outline. Needless to say, I learned more about the women of the American Revolution than I've ever needed to know in my entire life.
I'm presenting my social studies mini unit, which I taught 3 lessons to children in the Indianapolis public school system. And I taught about women of the American Revolution. And I have 3 very specific lesson plans that I had to follow a specific way to do them, to get them to even think about social studies and to teach them in this way where they have so much freedom was a very difficult challenge for them as well as me.
Bill, I'm waiting.
He's dead?
So, Bill, what you're telling me, essentially, is that Napoleon was a short, dead dude.
Well, yeah.
Well, the project was based off Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, the movie, where the synopsis of that is just these 2 high school kind of lower-end students who just want to rock out, but they're failing their history class.
Who was Joan of Arc?
Noah's wife?
Their social studies teacher tells them they have to do this oral presentation, final project. That's better be outstanding for them to pass. And so I took that, borrowed that assignment that they had from the movie, actually, and made it relevant to real life scenario.
As you can see, Genghis very much enjoys Twinkies because of the excellent sugar rush.
And he also loves billiards.
Beethoven's favorite works include Mozart's Requiem, Handel's Messiah, and Bon Jovi's Slippery When Wet.
To improve on the condition of her armies, Joan of Arc plans on instituting a full-scale aerobics program on her return to France.
What my students were going to do is the exact same assignment that they're doing with finding a historical person who's important and explaining why they're important, why they're in your textbook, and how they would fit into our modern world. And so what I had my students do was how they fit into the town that I was student teaching at, where I'm at right now, and then saying how they think of current events, technology, and how they would fit in. Because in the movie you see that they don't fit into our modern times. It's more chaotic. The mall scene at the end, it's really hectic. So bringing in a little history background into why they're important, and then seeing relating them, making it relevant to in their students' lives now. So the people would be dressing up as them is critical to the assignment, where they would be dressing up so the students in the audience would have that visual aid and remembering, oh hey, I remember John was Billy the Kid, and I remember Tabitha was Cleopatra. So that having that in the future, maybe they can come back and think, I remember back in high school when you were doing that. So it's just a little project that hopefully will make them remember historical people.